What's up, guys? This is Justin from Good Hands Market. Got a little project to do today with you guys that I'm stoked on because I love using this. I love doing this process to make bandanas. We're going to be doing some fabric dyeing using a special ink that I love called Inko dye. This is by a company called Lumi. They no longer make the ink anymore, but I have a bunch of it. If you guys are interested in this project and you want to get down on it, hit me up on Upson Projects. I'd love to send you guys a starter kit. The starter kit will come with a few colors of the dyes and then a detergent to use so that you can wash the fabric out and set the fabric. And then I'll even send you guys some little raw muslin test scraps or pieces of test fabric so that you guys can do your own prints. This is going to be the first. This is our first little tutorial that we're doing with Good Hands Market for our newsletter. We kind of just wanted to send something to you guys to keep everyone busy, entertained, and making cool shit during this time when we're stuck at home. I hope everyone's washing their hands and hanging out, maybe reading some cool books. But yeah, let's get into this and I'll show you guys what it is that I like to do with these and what we can do with these today. Alright? So, just to give you a little understanding of what this is a light sensitive dye, meaning that we're going to coat our fabric with it, and once it gets hit by sunlight or UV light, it's going to change to the color that it's going to be when it's all finished. How we can use that to our advantage is that we can cover the fabric in spaces with things that we want, and anything that's not getting hit with light will remain the color of the fabric, whereas everything that does get hit with light will change to the color of the dye that we're using. This is also a dye and not a paint, so it's actually changing the color of the material itself and not sitting on top of the material. Why that's beneficial is it will last a lot longer. The colors will stay a lot longer, and your image will stay a lot longer. It won't fade as quickly as, say, a shirt with like a screen print on it would. I use this dye for making my bandanas. Let me see if I have a sample here for you guys to kind of show you what I do. Here's one of them. This is what I do with the blue. This was the first color I started using. So I use big film negatives. I print giant film negatives, and then I lay that on top of the coated fabric, and I let the sun cook it, and it pretty much turns the fabric into photo paper. So the image, the negative, gets transposed onto the fabric, but in a positive. So that's what you're seeing here is a big picture of the flowers. We're going to do something a little more simple today with it. We're going to do something called photograms. And photograms are, if you've ever taken a photography class, they're one of the first things that you're going to do in a dark room if you're doing film and working with light sensitive emulsions, just to kind of give you an understanding of how they work. So what we're going to do today, I'm just going to walk you through it. What we're going to do today is we're going to coat our fabric. And I'm going to take a bunch of objects after we coat our fabric with the dye. I'm going to lay them on top of the fabric, and then I'm going to let it sit out in the sun. And what's going to happen is everything that doesn't get hit by the light, that is blocked by, we're going to use these guys, will stay the color of the fabric. Whereas everything that's exposed by the light will change color, so we'll get cool patterns from whatever objects it is that you're laying down. You can use anything you want, just as long as it blocks light from hitting the fabric. Alright, so to get started, we're going to take our Inko dye pack, and I'm going to mush it up and squish it around. We want to mix all of the chemicals that are inside it really well, so that it's all blended well together. This is a little dirty, but it's okay. I was just using it earlier. I like using a glass container to put it in because it cleans really easily, and if you're doing multiple colors, you can wash it out. And with plastic, it sometimes sticks onto it'll kind of stick onto the material, and you can get muddy colors if you're using the same container. So this is a snap pack. You can see there's a little line right here. You're going to fold that. See how that kind of starts to fold? and when you squeeze it, it's gonna just kind of squirt out. Pretty cool packaging. This brand and the company that invented this is called Lumi. They don't make it anymore, but the founders, her name is Jessie, and his name is Stefan, and they have a really cool podcast on their website called Well Made. I highly recommend checking them out. It's a really interesting podcast that really just kind of digs into operations and how creative businesses and small businesses and entrepreneurs operate on a day-to-day in their business models and what they do, and they have a bunch of really cool people come in and they talk with them. I highly recommend checking it out. Okay, so you can dilute this quite a bit. I like to do it like almost 1-to-1, so 1 part water, 1 part dye, without losing too much color. I'm going to do a little less this time to get a little richer pigments, so I'm just going to go for a splash of it. One of these snap packs will cover a 12 by 12, 12 inch by 12 inch piece of fabric. So just to kind of give you an idea of how much coverage you're going to get from one snap pack. I have a bunch of snap packs. This is what I'm going to be selling in the kits. Kits are going to come with, I think, 4 snap packs. I recommend getting 2 colors and getting 2 of each color so that you have a little bit more to play with. So once we have that mixed up, we're going to apply it onto the fabric. I've tried a bunch of different things, from a spray bottle to rollers and paintbrushes. Paintbrushes and rollers work the best. Rollers kind of waste a lot of dye, so I'm going to use a paintbrush. I have this big old giant honky guy. You can use smaller brushes if you want. I use this guy sometimes, but it doesn't matter too much as long as you're getting a nice even coat. So we're going to get it on the brush. I'm going to put it down here so it won't look in my face. You can see this better. Yeah. Get a nice, spread it all on. Smells a little funky. Like I said, there's a bunch of really cool stuff that you can do with this. It does really well with photographic films. You can buy little packs of 8.5 by 12 sheets of clear film for your at-home printer if you'd like. If you just flip your images to make them negatives, you can print them out and you can do really cool photo prints on fabric. That's what I love doing, being a photographer. I think it's a really cool process and a unique way to make photo prints. Also, you can put on shirts or like I do, bandanas. Alright, you can also do shibori is like tie-dye, so you can do shibori where if you dilute the dye, maybe 2-to-1, 3-to-1 water to dye, you can just soak the whole bandana or the whole piece of fabric in the dye, and then when you take it out into the sun, you can fold it and roll it in certain ways that has a lot of crinkles. Let me see if I can kind of show you that. So I was playing around with it the other day, and I did something like this, where you just kind of get a bunch of really cool different designs from it. Alright, it's pretty basic, you guys. Once we get this coated, I like to give it a nice brush all along the side to kind of brush off it a little bit to kind of pull any excess dye. You don't want it too wet, you want it damp. I've experimented with letting it dry first, doing it soaking wet, and I've definitely found that printing while it's a little damp is the best way to go to get the richest colors. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to move it on to another flat surface. It's not wet. I found that whenever I put it on, I like to pull it off of the surface that I coated it on. Okay, Okay, lay it down, and you want to do this out of the sunlight because it will start exposing as soon as it's hit by light. It doesn't have to be like a dark room, you know. You can just be inside and it'll handle itself pretty well. I have a bunch of these funky little dowels. I think that's what they're called. I don't know. I'm gonna put them all over. This is gonna be my resist. Real simple, like, you know. We're not gonna get too crazy with it today. And then I'm gonna take the camera with me, and we're going to go set this out in the sun, and we're all gonna watch it change colors. It's gonna be awesome. All right, guys. All right, here we go. Set it out in the sun, and we're already seeing it changing color. It happens really quickly. Each color needs a little bit different time depending on what it is to fully expose. Usually between 10 to 15 minutes is all you need, but you can already see the color changing drastically. I have one over here that I'm going to grab, and we'll see the finished product in a few minutes. Alright, so I'm going to do one more for you guys just to get a different idea of all the different stuff we can do. I'm just going to put some chains on this bad boy. We're going to take it out in the sun and see how it ends up. This one in the contact isn't as direct, but it's going to look cool anyways. Alright guys, here it looks. You can even see how you catch those little shadows. That's from the shadows that were made by the sun. So you can see how sensitive this is to light. That's what that first one looked like. Real simple. So the color's looking pretty good. We're gonna take it into the shade. Oh yeah, don't remove the stuff until you get to the shade so that you don't mess up your image too much. Let's see what we got. That's fun, huh? Look at that. That's awesome. Alright, so what we're going to do next is, well, all that's left to do really is to go put it in the wash, and then you're good to go and you have your image. I hope you guys dig it, and once again, if you are interested in doing some of this, let me know. I have kits that would include 4 of these snap packs and 2 of these detergent packs so that you can start your own. I also have a little pin with light fabric kit that Lumi used to make, and then I also have larger bottles of it. So if you're really digging it and you want to dig into it more, I have larger bottles in tons of different colors. So hit me up. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.